Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. Saya Zulfitri Yusof dan anda menyaksikan satu lagi episod yang kami rakamkan di Baku, Azerbaijan, negara yang terletak di timur Eropah. Rantau yang tidak mudah untuk diuruskan daripada konflik yang berlaku akibat peperangan antara Rusia dan juga Ukraine. Azerbaijan juga tidak terlepas daripada konflik dengan negara jirannya, Armenia. Namun, dengan penganjuran COP29 atau COP29, persidangan perubahan iklim yang berlangsung dari 11 hingga 22 November, terdapat visi besar di sebalik penganjuran ini dan itu yang perlu kita fahami. Dan saya berkesempatan bersama dengan saudara ataupun tuan yang terutama Hikmat Hagiev. Beliau merupakan pembantu kepada Presiden Azerbaijan dan juga merupakan ketua bagi bahagian hubungan antarabangsa, Jabatan Perhubungan dan juga Pentadbiran Presiden. Dan beliau menjawab secara langsung bagaimanakah COP29 mampu memberikan perubahan dan juga mengubah perhatian dan dunia terhadap Azerbaijan, dan bagaimana Azerbaijan juga mahu menjadi dan juga menonjolkan kepimpinannya dalam isu alam sekitar, perubahan iklim dan juga keamanan.
Azerbaijan, assuming the chairmanship was in a COP29, is in a process as a result of a peace-building process, because in the Eastern European groups there was a deadlock, and certain countries are blocking one another because of the current situation in Ukraine. And Azerbaijan has taken the process and has taken the leadership and to move out from the deadlock situation, and we have come up with our initiative that Azerbaijan can take the position to be the host for the COP29, and in the meantime then a chairmanship of the COP. Unfortunately, that time Armenia started to block Azerbaijan's chairmanship, but as a result of the intense diplomatic discussions, we have resolved, and Azerbaijan has taken COP chairmanship. But in the meantime, taking the COP chairmanship coincides with Azerbaijan's own vision as well about the green transformation and green development. Because first, we have also, like other countries, have identified for ourselves a green transition and green transformation. In the meantime, we would like to contribute to the regional-wise and trans-regional development of the green agenda. And in the meantime, Azerbaijan is looking forward by hosting the COP to contribute in a global climate change agenda. We all agree that there is we all suffering, all countries of the world are suffering from the impacts of the global climate change, and we should do something very serious. And Azerbaijan's COP particularly designated to the subject of the climate finance. Without finance, NDCs and other green transformation projects of the countries will simply be empty. Therefore, Azerbaijan, by hosting the COP, first is leading by example to further give an additional impetus to its own green agenda, and regional-wise and also global-wise.
COP29 kali ini dianjurkan oleh negara yang mempunyai kekayaan hasil minyak dan gas. Secara ironinya, perbincangan di COP ialah melihat kepada peralihan tenaga yang lebih bersih, perubahan daripada fossil fuel kepada tenaga yang boleh diperbaharui. Dan ironi juga, Azerbaijan adalah negara ketiga yang menjadi host kepada COP selepas Mesir dan juga Emirat Arab Bersatu, juga negara pengeluar minyak. Justru bagaimana Azerbaijan menjawab kritikan ataupun mungkin cynical, terdapat pandangan cynical terhadap penganjuran sebuah negara pengeluar minyak ini, dan ini jawapan daripada beliau.
So there is a real hypocrisy, because certain countries are speaking very loudly, especially in the global north, about the green transformation. But if you look at the real figures, they are completely different. Let me just give you the example of the United States. United States is one of the biggest producer of the carbohydrates, and the United States is one of the biggest carbon emitter, right? And also look at some other developed countries as well and their current figures. But it's unfair to treat Azerbaijan in a quite unobjective way and saying that as if Azerbaijan is a polluter. Look at Azerbaijan's figures. First, Azerbaijan is not forefront of the oil production, and our oil production, if you compare with others, is quite modest. And in the meantime, our carbon emission is in a 0.01%. In other words, we are not a polluter. But in the meantime, what is Azerbaijan demonstrating is a diplomatic and political courage, and it's also our stronger determination for the green agenda that we are hosting the COP29 and we would like to contribute to the global agenda. But unfairly treating the countries like Azerbaijan, again, we don't think that it's fair enough, and everybody should be given a chance to contribute to this global agenda. But in the meantime, please judge us not by the certain political elements of the political populism or certain political propaganda, but real actions. How Azerbaijan effectively using its sovereign wealth fund that's generated, but we don't deny, from the its carbohydrate resources for its green transformation agenda. And to look at the city of Baku that we are trying to establish in a green concept, and also in our agenda that Azerbaijan invests its own sovereign wealth fund along with international partners on development of the green capacity, and it will also change entire energy infrastructure of Azerbaijan, and Azerbaijan will also have a capacity for the export of the green energy to other countries. That are the things that we should be judged. A little bit stigma or certain cliches attached to the oil producing or fossil fuel producing countries as if they cannot host a COP. And I think that that's the perspective from Azerbaijan, and it was also eloquently elaborated by my president in his inaugural speech on the opening of the COP29, that it's an unfair treatment, and it's also not an objective. First, we should also look at a supply and demand chain. If there is a supply, there is also a demand. In other words, almost all countries in the world are engaged on the using of the fossil fuel products. And we should also acknowledge the fact that currently there is no full or complete alternative of the fossil fuels. And fossil fuels will continue to be our life. And green agenda is important, green transformation is also very important, but it's not in the capacity completely change entire energy infrastructure and energy security composition of the countries of the world. That is an effect. That was also this message of my president, that sometimes we see in the COP discussions or climate discussions too much words or too much verbal actions against the green agenda, but too much talking about the green doesn't make us green.
Bagaimana mengubah persepsi mencipta kekayaan menerusi sumber asli seperti minyak dan gas kepada kekayaan baharu yang lebih mesra alam dan lebih hijau? Adakah Azerbaijan optimis bahawa ada kekayaan hijau yang mampu diraih dengan tenaga boleh diperbaharui?
Here, we would like also to take our own place in the map of the green global agenda, where Azerbaijan historically was an oil producer, and also now Azerbaijan is a gas producer and gas exporter, but we would like to make an Azerbaijan green energy producer and exporter as well. And therefore, we are in the partnership with the regional countries are building the green energy corridor that brings together the potential and resources of Central Asia, Caspian, Caucasus, and Black Sea, and will bring to Europe. And the Caspian Sea, it has around 200. All know Azerbaijan's renewable potential in the Caspian Sea, onshore and offshore renewable potential is beyond 200 gigawatts. It's indeed a great potential. We would like to transform it and to be the green energy producer and exporter as well.
Di awal perbualan saya bersama dengan Hikmat IGF, beliau ada menjawab bahawa Azerbaijan mahu menjadi negara yang mengetuai kepada proses rundingan dan perdamaian di rantau timur Eropah ini. Tetapi ironi juga, negara ini masih lagi berdepan dengan konflik bersama dengan negara jiran seperti Armenia contohnya. Bagaimana itu dapat dijawab dengan baik oleh beliau?
Really, unfortunately, what we see in the Western media, it's a twisted concept and also distorting certain realities of the conflict. The reality of the conflict is that Armenia, as a sovereign country, used the force against Azerbaijan and occupied Azerbaijan's territories, and for 30 years kept our territories under occupation, and 1 million Azerbaijanis become refugees and IDPs. UN Security Council adopted 4 resolutions back in 1994 demanding immediate and unconditional withdrawal of Armenian troops, but Armenia refused to do that. And Azerbaijan, in a strategic passions, in demonstration of the strategic passions, demonstrated strategic passions for peace negotiations with Armenia. but unfortunately it didn't bring results. Therefore, Azerbaijan was obliged to liberate its territories by exercising its right of self-defense. And it's a sovereign right of every country to provide its territorial integrity and sovereignty. And we liberated our territories and we operated within the sovereign borders of Azerbaijan, and therefore we ended the conflict. And one conflict in the global agenda where we see proliferation of the conflict is less. And we have managed to do that through the political military means and ended to the military occupation. I think by the region, Armenia, Azerbaijan is much closer to the peace. And nevertheless, Azerbaijan was subject of the occupation and military aggression. We were courageable enough, and we have proposed the peace treaty and principles of the peace treaty to Armenian side. We are very close to come to the peace treaty, but there are certain conditions to be met by Armenian side, and Armenia mainly should change its constitution because its constitution has a direct territorial claims of Azerbaijan. But I think by Azerbaijan's action transformed the entire region of the South Caucasus. We are very close to the peace between two countries.
Mungkin ramai yang mengenali Azerbaijan kerana apa yang berlaku di kawasan konflik negara ini. Namun begitu, penganjuran COP29 ini sedikit sebanyak berjaya mengubah persepsi dan juga mengalih pandangan dunia. Adakah ini menjadi aspirasi besar buat negara Azerbaijan?
As a conflict, unfortunately, put Azerbaijan into the shackles and wider region into the shackles. And Azerbaijan now resolves the conflict, and we don't have any longer any conflict on our agenda. Azerbaijan's agenda is about a peaceful transformation of the region of the South Caucasus. But in the meantime, we think that by geography being between east and west, north and south, and we think that Azerbaijan has a potential and can contribute to the global agenda. And COP29 is one of them, and we would like to be part of the global agenda and contribute to the global discussions on addressing daunting challenges like climate change. It once again shows positive ambitions of Azerbaijan. In the same line, but we can see Azerbaijan will host Global World Urban Forum in 2026. It's one
next
of the
year.
Next year, year after 26. Yes. It's yet another important gathering about urban development and we see also consistency and synchronization between COP29 and urban planning and urban conference. Why? Because the climate emerges and dies in the cities.
Yes.
The major polluter major pollution are coming from the cities, right? And therefore we see the synchronization here and consistency. And in the meantime, Azerbaijan is also one of the unique states that building 9 cities and 300 villages, because I already told during the time of occupation, Armenia destroyed our cities and villages, and including our religious heritage, including the Islamic heritage of Azerbaijan. And by taking this opportunity, I share that we had in our occupied territories 67 mosques, and 65 out of 67 completely destroyed. And now we are in the process, along with building cities and rebuilding our Islamic culture and heritage as well. But very few people are talking about that.
Azerbaijan adalah negara yang mungkin baru untuk kita terokai ataupun kita dengar, dan juga pengetahuan kita mungkin juga tidak sebanyak dengan negara lain, khususnya apabila kita bercerita dengan negara di rantau timur Eropah ini. Tapi potensinya cukup besar, baik daripada segi perdagangan dan juga hubungan antara rakyat dan juga rakyat. Bagaimana itu dapat dieksploitasi dengan sebaik mungkin?
Really, Malaysia we do consider as an umbrella country for Azerbaijan, and we are also very fond of the Malaysian culture and Malaysian development, and really we are admiring with a very positive and also technology-based, know-how-based development of Malaysia. As a Brazil country, we are more than happy for our brothers. But in the meantime, on the bilateral track, I think that Malaysia and Azerbaijan, we can and we should do more, because the two countries possess a lot of potential. I'm also very glad that Madam Mayor of the Kuala Lumpur, Dr. Maimuna, is a good friend of Azerbaijan. And by the way, when being in the helm of the UN Habitat, and she helped us a lot to share the concept of the UN Habitat for the rebuilding cities of Azerbaijan. And we have also really, as you can see in the opening session of the COP29 in Azerbaijan, we have given particularly the floor to Madam Maimuna, and there was 3 speakers: President of Azerbaijan and UN Secretary General and Dr. Maimuna. And we consider her as an sister of Azerbaijan, and also this is yet another demonstration of the stretched hand of friendship from Azerbaijan to Malaysia. In the meantime, but taking into account the potential of the 2 countries, and we think that along with the very good political relations, we should further develop economic and trade relations, and also knowledge-based cooperation, including the IT sphere, where I know that Malaysia has a very good achievement in that sphere, and also people-to-people contacts, including the tourism cooperation. A lot of Azerbaijanis are choosing Malaysia as a touristic destination. In the meantime, we think that Azerbaijan has also a lot to offer to the Malaysian tourists as well, and we should also do more business community. And yet another important direction, what I say, education tourism. Azerbaijani students are choosing Malaysia for their education as well. It's yet another, I think, that we are building long-term humanitarian bridge between Azerbaijan and Malaysia. But I really appreciate the work of the media and journalists from Malaysia, and actually which is an important instrument for us, spread the message of Azerbaijan to with our Malaysian friends.
Negara Azerbaijan ini kaya dengan warisan, kaya dengan kebudayaan, malah bandaraya Baku ini juga tersegar indah dengan infrastruktur yang cukup moden dan juga mengekalkan juga warisannya. Dan ini membuka peluang buat rakyat kedua-dua buah negara untuk meneroka lebih banyak dalam sektor pelancongan. Malah ramai juga pelajar Azerbaijan yang belajar di Malaysia. Bagaimana kita melihat hubungan antara rakyat kedua-dua buah negara ini boleh ditingkatkan lagi?
Well, especially for the tourism, that really indeed there is a bigger potential in that framework. And first thing is that Azerbaijan has applied almost on a visa-free system for our Malaysian friends, and they can easily obtain the visas upon arrival to Baku airport. But in the meantime, I think that our Malaysian friends can found Azerbaijan quite interesting from the touristic perspectives, but Azerbaijan a little bit hidden treasure. And in a sense that while visiting Azerbaijan, and they can ask the question that where I am going, whether it's Europe, whether it's in Asia, whether it's post-Soviet, whether it's Central Asia, whether it's Caspian, whether it's Black Sea region, where I am going. What I can suggest to my Malaysian friends that first, it's a friendly country to Malaysia, and it's a majority Muslim society, but in the meantime secular country, and it's also very safe. And in the meantime, Azerbaijan can offer all of them at the same time. Azerbaijan is between Europe and Asia, and has a particular cuisine as well. I'm very fond of the Asian cuisine and also Malaysian cuisine as well. But in the meantime, I think that our Malaysian friends will also find quite interesting an Azerbaijani cuisine. In itself, there are a lot to offer to our Malaysian friends.
Secara peribadi, saya dan juga penerbit Nina Salim apabila tiba di lapangan terbang di Baku ini, kami terpegun dengan kemudahan dan juga keindahan infrastruktur yang ada di Baku ini. Tapi itu tidak terhenti setakat itu sahaja. Apabila kita menelusuri segala perjalanan kami ke COP29 dan juga berjalan di sekitaran bandaraya Baku ini, ia cukup indah sekali. Namun ada kisah di sebaliknya. Bagaimana negara Azerbaijan mampu bangkit dan juga bagaimana negara ini mampu mengekalkan adanya hubungan harmoni antara warisan, iaitu belakang saya ini, Old City of Baku, dan juga di belakang sana bangunan futuristik yang penuh dengan kemodenan.
I can open you one secret, because really behind all of this in Baku development, I see in everywhere footprint of the Mr. President's personal footprint, and President himself takes care of Baku. And in the meantime, and while redesigning Baku, because when Azerbaijan got its independence from the Soviet Union, there was a completely different Baku. Baku was an industrial center. There are a lot of the factories and plants, including the oil chemistry plants, were inside in Baku. And there was some industrial pollution in the city, and city urban planning was not designed for the comfort of the population. That concept has been completely changed, especially during the last 20 years, but we'll continue to put in a particular emphasis. But the important thing that in every urban development, along with a comfort, particularly when you are in the historic cities, and there should be harmonization of the history, culture, modern development. Therefore, as you can see, that I think that we have managed to do that, along with respecting cultural heritage of the Baku, and we also ensure that harmonization of the medieval century, late 19th and 20th century, Soviet part of the Baku architecture and the modern architecture, and in a sense has been ensures in a certain harmonization. But in the meantime, we continue to investing on the development of Baku along some other cities of Azerbaijan as well, because we are in the process of building 9 cities from the scratch in the occupied territories of Azerbaijan, because they have been completely destroyed by Armenian side, including our cultural and Islamic and religious heritage. We are building the cities from the scratch, and Azerbaijan's culture and Azerbaijan history are also related with that cities as well. And hopefully you will have a time to visit our liberated territories in Karabakh and also landscape in those territories as well.
Penganjuran persidangan perubahan iklim COP29 di Baku ini akan melakukan tidaknya pada hujung minggu ini, dan sudah pasti kita melihat bagaimana agenda dan ketetapan mampu diraih dan negara-negara tidak pulang dengan tangan kosong. Sesuatu perlu dicapai. Tapi bagi Azerbaijan, bagaimana ianya melihat bahawa ini adalah masa depan yang lebih baik? Bagaimana kita melihat visi selepas penganjuran COP29 dan apakah momentum yang mahu dikekalkan? Ini jawapan beliau.
This COP has been, entitled as a financial COP, because as the world needs a new quantified financial goal, and the last financial goal has been agreed 10 years ago. It is around 100 billion USD, but it's not enough, and also calculation of this amount was not sufficient enough. Therefore, everybody is expecting, particularly global north, new financial goal, and we would like to see that Baku COP will be associated with a new financial goal, because we are all expecting that the countries should pull forward their NDCs and nationally determined contributions and some other programs of the green transformation, but without finance it will be impossible. And there is a particular expectation from the developed countries that they should pledge to the new financial goal, and there are different figures outlined. I think that any substantial increase, it's going to be success story, and therefore we would like to see the process that where there will be global consensus around the new financial goal. Once the new financial goal has been determined, and then we should think about the new tendencies, about how it will be distributed among the countries, and how the countries can benefit from that and for the green transition. That is the ambition of Azerbaijan. And in the meantime, we think that COP29 will also change entire thinking in Azerbaijan and also in our wider region about the green transformation. And I'm glad that COP29 is also helps to upbring new generation of the climate activists in Azerbaijan, along with the government officers, and we are sometimes joking the same that we are all becoming the climate activists. That's a very good thing, and it also affects our own thinking as well. And as a government wise, and also in the future government priorities of Azerbaijan. But more than that, I'm glad that thousands of our young Azerbaijanis and especially volunteers are involved in a COP process, and I'm sure that they will be new climate activists in this country and also globally, and contributing to the green transformation.
Sekian saja temu bual saya bersama dengan pembantu kepada Presiden Azerbaijan dan juga merupakan ketua bagi polisi antarabangsa di Jabatan Pentadbiran Presiden Azerbaijan ini, iaitu saudara Hikmat Hagiyev. Semoga ini bermanfaat dan juga membuka mata kita juga terhadap negara yang istimewa ini. Sekian saja temu bual dan juga perkongsian yang saya bawakan istimewa dari Baku, Azerbaijan ini.